Seriously, why does no one talk about this top-tier cutie? Like, she's a high-functioning genius with a sharp tongue, and she's easily one of the most unique leads I've ever seen. Nay, she isn't just a trope, she's a legitimate character. The main reason this gets ignored is 2011. And that year was a bloodbath for seasonal anime, and competing with Steins Gate or Fate Zero meant getting buried. I'm going to tell you exactly why you're wasting your time by skipping this. The basics, it's 1924, in a fictional European country called Soville. You've got Kujo, a Japanese soldier's son who's an outsider at this elite academy. He finds Victor Reek at the top of a massive library, and they start solving mysteries that feel like dark urban legends. But it doesn't stay small. It evolves from Case of the Week into a full-scale historical tragedy as the world moves toward the Great War. It's a period piece that actually has stakes. The mysteries are fine, but the dynamic between Kujo and Victor Reek is the best thing about this entire show. It's the one thing that personally kept me attached for all 24 episodes. It's not some forced, cringy romance. It's about two people with zero agency. Victor Reek is a literal weapon for her father's political games, and Kujo is the invisible third son of a military family. They're both outcasts. Their development from being forced partners to becoming each other's only anchor to reality is the peak of the show. If you stripped away the mysteries, this bond alone would carry the series. Now, moving into the actual genre stuff, because this is where the show is a total hit or miss. On paper, it's a mystery. But if you're a fan of actual detective stories where you get to solve the case alongside the lead, you're going to be frustrated. Victor Reek has this wellspring of wisdom thing, which is basically just a fancy way for the writers to let her solve everything instantly. She'll just sit there, smoke her pipe, and then drop the entire solution in one go. The problem is that half the time, the clues she uses weren't even shown to us. Like, she'll mention a specific smell or a tiny detail on someone's sleeve that the camera never even panned over, because it's not a fair mystery. You aren't part of the process. You're just getting spoon-fed a lecture by a genius. It's satisfying to see her flex her brain, but as a mystery show, it's honestly kinda lazy. Yes, you can't pause the video and try to figure it out yourself because the show is holding back the information. It robs you of that aha moment because the show didn't give you the tools to get there first. Then there's the shift into the Great War. About halfway through, the show tries to stop being a case of the weak detective story and tries to become this massive historical epic. And look, it's honestly not that good. Like, the transition is incredibly jagged. You see, one minute you're solving a mystery about a ghost in a school, and the next you're dealing with high-level international politics and military secret. Like, the political writing just isn't as tight as the character build. It feels like the writers had a great idea for a tragic ending, but didn't really know how to build a smooth bridge to get there. The pacing in the middle gets messy, and if you aren't already attached to the characters, this is probably where you're gonna drop the show. You start getting these long segments explaining political movements that feel like they belong in a completely different anime. It loses that focused, atmospheric vibe of the library and trades it for a sprawling conflict. You see characters making massive decisions based on occult legends that don't really hold up. It's a lot of telling rather than showing, and it can feel like a slog when you just want to get back to the main duo. And this is a big but, it still works because the war isn't there for the politics. It's there to put Kujo and Victor Reek in actual danger. It's an unstoppable force trying to rip them apart. Even if the strategy of the conflict is kind of mid, the emotional weight of it is what carries the second half. You realize that all those early mysteries were just a distraction from the fact that these two kids are trapped in a world that is about to explode. Like, the war acts as a countdown. Like, it forces them to grow up instantly. That shift in focus is what saves the show. Like, you stop caring that the political plot is a mess because you're too busy worrying if Kujo and Victor Reek are ever going to see each other again. It's the raw desperation of the ending that justifies the weird pacing of the middle. You're no longer looking for logic, you're looking for closure. It's a complete story that doesn't hold your hand. It stays with you because it refuses to play it safe. Bottom line, stop watching the same 5 romance slops every season. Gosick has its flaws. The mystery mechanics are a bit cheap, and the war pacing is definitely a mess. But the atmosphere and the central bond between the leads are 10 out of 10. It's a complete story with a real payoff, which is more than most modern anime can say. Just go watch it, then come back and tell me if you think it's still just a mystery show. Peace.